Hey, I think I'm live. Today, I'm just testing the thing out, but I figured I'd make a cool video for all you bass players out there who are getting ready to come to KCBass this next week, um, celebrating Lloyd Goldstein's great musical message that music really heals. Uh, he always have done Stand By Me, and it's such a great bass line. I teach almost all of my students as bass line because it's a great way to learn how to play chord progressions and what you could do with the bass line as you go. So this time we're going to focus on a simple way. So if you go to YouTube and play along with the Timon and Pumbaa version of Stand By Me, it's in the key of G. You could play it nearly with open strings. So a lot of my very beginner bass players, I just have them play this part. So it goes G, 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 E, 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 A, A, D, D, and start over. G, 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 E, 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 A, D, D, and you get to spin the bass. Why wouldn't you want to spin the bass? G, G, E, 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 A, D, D, and that is what I call a drum solo. And then all right, so that's what you can jam along to for Timon and Pumbaa. It's very important to try to do different things like the slides, solos, like a bass does that really cool, especially a fretless bass. The main thing is where you stop and snap your fingers and spin your bass. That's the amount of time you can do something different each time. You can also just take a break and rest those fingers, because if you're pitzing for the first time and you're playing along with the band, it may be that you're pushing too hard. So the next step is, some of you guys probably singing along would say, doesn't quite still sound like Stand By Me to me. That's because so I could play an open string, I played an A instead of a C. So on the sheet music, the next one, we play a C. So you go G, 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 and I'm going to play this E because some of you beginners know where that E is, and then C, C, D, D, G, 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 G. And we can do the same thing where we snap our fingers and the slide solos in the middle there. We're just adding a C instead of an A, and we're playing a different E. And then you go G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G. So what I just did there was I actually just played down the scale. And at first, I didn't know what letters were. I just tried to make it sound like that. And I go up the letters G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, G. You can add the fancier notes, which is written down for you if you want. Sometimes the extra notes make it harder for you to make stuff up. Okay, so it's a really nice bass line to jam to, right? It's also a really nice baseline to understand that this song, that it actually gets played in all 12 keys, because Timon and Pumbaa played it in G, which is plays into my strength, because when the 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, they want to jam that. And they like the original song, but it's in A major. It might be a little bit harder to play. So before I go and play it in C major, which is next, I want to show you one trick about keeping key signatures together that's really helpful. Everybody should know, at least not a very beginner. So we're going on past that. So probably the second, third year, you should know, if you were in your orchestra class, that you would probably see 1 sharp all the time, and that's an F sharp. And sometimes you see 2 sharps, which is a C sharp. That's a lot of information to keep track of. I didn't keep track of it at first. I just played by ear. And then when you know the letters, it starts to make a lot more sense. So C major is no sharps and flats. And most string orchestra players know G major and D major, because that's the keys they start in. But other instruments, they start in the key of C, like the piano. It's all the white keys. So you can kind of go jam on the piano and do it there. But this trick helps you keep track of what we call the circle of fifths, or at least the easy key. C major's no sharps. You have 1 sharp, 2 sharp, 3 sharp, 4 sharp. G major's 1 sharp. The new sharp is 1 letter before G, F. So there's an F sharp in the key of G. That was the key we just got done jamming. D major's 2 sharps. The new sharp is 1 before D, which is C. So you have a C sharp. A major's 3 sharps. A, the new sharp is 1 letter before G. E major is 4 sharps. The new letter is 1 letter before E, which is D. It keeps going, 5 sharps, 6 sharps in the same formula, but those are the hard keys, and this video is not for that yet. Maybe at the end. Okay, so now we can just play it in the key of C. So I could just tell you the letters, and they would be different for letters. It goes C, 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 A, sorry, A, and F, F, G, G, and C. Yeah. Now I can hit any C, any A, any F, any G I want. And some of you guys actually know your basic letters in regular first position. If you don't, go back to the first one and just learn that one and jam it. This is for people who are a little bit further along, I guess. So you have C. I can play this C, or I can play this C. Reach for the C like that, a pivot, and I can play this A and this A. I can play this F. I can play this F. Some of you guys don't like to play that F. And then G and G. Okay? It doesn't matter which C, A, or F. In fact, I can make it up to where I can have a little fun. Okay? It's kind of fun just to play in the key of C and just the letters. Now, what's really fun about that, before I go into playing the whole bass line in the key of C, there's something on YouTube called Lyrics and Chords. So you could take every great song, every Beatles song, every John Lennon song, every Rage Against the Machine song, every any song you can think of, and type in the song and write lyrics with chords. And a lot of times the letters pop up and they light up, depending on how good the particular site is at doing that. And you're playing along to the actual song and you're just jamming to the letters. That's a great way to start playing the bass, because sometimes people do it by ear. That's what I did. I sometimes just follow my guitar player's hand or keyboard's hand. But I didn't think letters. I just did by ear. That sounded right. Okay, that one sounded right. when you know letters, it starts to make it so much easier to just jam a lot of things, and eventually you know what key you're in. So I'm going to play the song up here, and we're going to do that thing at the end where we snap our fingers once, but then we're going to go down the letters and up the letters. That's just such a really good trick to start to understand where you can go in your fills. Is you play by ear and you find the scale a little bit by ear. There's just one of each letter. Sometimes they happen to be a sharp, or in this case, no sharps. C. That's where I'm going to put my notes. There they go. Up the letters. Okay, cool. You get the idea. Really fun to jam that. Notice that I didn't put the little boom boom booms in there at first. I just kept it to the letters. I find that that's better as a teacher, and was a little bit confusing when I was learning bass lines by ear, that I would hear the bass line move around. I was like, oh, I have to play all those notes. That's true if you want it to sound exactly like the recording, which sometimes you do. But it's kind of better to just think chords, because it kind of opens you up to your interpretation of how you want to play the song. And the nice part about this song is everybody plays it differently. The bass line sometimes is very iconic, and it sounds so good to play the actual bass line, and the actual bass line doesn't do any fills in there, but then everybody else does it in different ways. And they put a different drum beat, and they sing the words, maybe a little bit improvised to that, and it's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm going to play it in the key of D major. I'm going to use the traditional fingerings up here, but sometimes you can also just play it down here, especially if you're just thinking the letters. That way, if you're like when I first started playing the upright bass, it was hard to hear and get those suckers in tune when I was jamming. So I would just stay in the first position, make it easy. I liked easy keys like D major, G major, A major, E major. They're the open keys. They're good for this instrument. F major is good, B flat major. We're not doing that in this video today, but they're the easy keys, and then eventually the hard keys will flow once you get that going. Anyway, so I'm going to start with the D here. Shift back to B. G, A, and back up to D. This time we're going to walk down the letters. Up the letters. Put the extra notes in. Anyway, I hope that I just jammed Let It Loose at the end just because it's fun, right? Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing in the original key of A major. For the upright bass, I can use the exact same fingerings, move it over. For the electric bass, what's really cool is there's an actual universal fingering for every major scale, and we just move it around. So it's really easy to play in all 12 keys on the electric bass. You can check it out. I'll have it in the PDFs page of KCBass this year, and you could check that out. But it's probably pretty easy to just YouTube universal fingering for the upper or electric bass for the major scale, and then you're running off and running to go. Anyway, we could start with the same letters where we just go A, 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 F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, D, D, E, E, A, A, snap, A. Oh, I want to play the A here because it's easier. F. I can also play the open A, the open E if I want. Just some ideas. I can play the G sharp here. Walk down the scale. The G sharp's a little bit tricky. So if you think D major felt pretty good, then you could just do the same fingering on the D string. Cool. So I can think of all these really great rock and pop artist bass lines that are really cool that would fall into the same kind of idea that you're on the chords and you have to connect them in some ways. There's the easiest way to think of it is find the chords and you're on an A, you got to get to F sharp. Well, just walk down the letters A, G sharp, F. If G natural doesn't sound right, then G sharp does, or G flat. One of those is pretty easy. So sometimes as I'm playing, I always say that the rhythm is more important than the note. Don't get lost, because if you get lost in those 4 letters and you're trying to play a whole bass line, that's kind of tricky. So this year, you can also, for KCBass, look at the Orion bass line that really has 4 chords that go through the whole middle section, which is kind of iconic. That's kind of nice. Ooh. It's just F sharp minor, and it's just F sharp. What is F sharp? A, B. Oh, F sharp. A, E, C sharp. Okay, like it's really fun just to jam that one in the middle, which is pretty much what I did when I learned it by ear, because I couldn't figure out all those notes at once. Just the important notes. What note sounds right over and over and over again. So that's really nice, because that has all of Cliff Burton's amazing counterpoint bass lines. And I mean, I thought of it as the greatest bass solo ever when I first heard it, even though it's just the bass line. And then other great artists, from Green Day's bass player always comes up with these great lines. Rock bass players like John Dee from Queen. Oh, just so good. One of my heroes, John Paul Jones, just connects the chords in such a way that it's almost like it's a melody in itself, and sometimes there's only 2 chords. you know? So you can really play around with that idea. Sometimes when you're thinking scale like that, you can come up with these really cool melodic bass lines. And then you get to cats like Getty and Flea, um, Bootsy, you know, everyone's doing something different, but they really can brilliantly connect the bass parts and come up with some of the best bass lines. As I sometimes say, the bass lines sometimes are more of a bigger hit than the words. Stand By Me, it's a good argument to say the bass lines, most people know it immediately when I start playing that bass line. Um, those kind of bass lines are really great. So I hope that you like the piece of paper I put up there. I put all this in there so that way you can kind of get ready. If you can't make it to the workshop this year, it's fine. But really, I hope that, like most of us bass players, you're just busy and that you can use this video and the PDFs to really get inspired to see what's next. Oh, I forgot to mention the other song that we're doing this year is Fly Me to the Moon, which is a great one to try to figure out the melody by ear. But when I was young, I couldn't actually figure out all those chords. I had to look them up because they're jazz chords and the bass player's walking. But if you look at how I wrote it out, you would see that you could just get that groove down and just play roots only. You don't have to play all those extra notes. You can keep it simple. If you're grooving, that's the most important part about playing the bass. Just keep to the letters and don't get lost. And of course, it's such an, you know, it's such an iconic song. It's easy to know what the song is, and you're going to hear it again in some other commercial or movie. So it's a really great way to start to understand how more complex music gets together. And that's kind of fun. Anyway, I had fun doing this. I hope that works for you guys out there. And I hope I didn't just blather on and didn't work. But anyway, I hope to do a couple more before the workshop starts. And if not, we'll also try to stream a lot of the concerts, like come see me right here on the stream. Thanks.